I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. As you know, the interview you hear this week has been nominated by the interviewee of the previous week. And it's not often that an individual is nominated twice in a row to be on the Rough Draft Diaries. Actually, this is the only time it's happened. He was nominated 2 weeks ago by Elizabeth Cottle.
Another is Russ, Courtney, who has built his own food truck.
He was nominated again, along with his brother, just last week by Josh Mernon.
There are Russ Courtney and Rob Courtney are brothers, and they're both entrepreneurs doing different things, and they sort of cross over in their interests. Russ has a food truck that he started. Rob has a recording studio that he started, and I think interviewing both of them would be interesting.
So with 2 recommendations and a particularly interesting idea from Josh, I thought we should have them on the show. You can go first, and then we'll
All right.
go from there.
I'm Russ Courtney, and I own and operate a food truck in Toledo called Rusty's Road Trip.
Then you can go next.
All right, I'm Rob Courtney. My recording studio is called Little Elephant.
We're going to switch a lot back and forth.
Yeah.
So, actually, how about we just focus on like a brother per episode? So, Russ, you go first.
We're a relatively new food truck going into our 2nd season here. So I wanted to kind of bring it downtown, and bring it all over the city.
Literally all over the city. I know your location changes daily and people can check where you're going to be next via Facebook and Twitter, but your food truck mainly specializes in fish, like perch.
We focus on Lake Erie perch, which is what I consider one of the great local delicacies. You don't see a lot of them that are really putting that out there as their key menu item like you do in a lot of the cities on the lake. I'm thinking of a few restaurants in Port Clinton, Sandusky, and a lot of these cities that are right on the lake, and they have a lot of restaurants that's what they do. They do perch and they do walleye. And, like I said, you can get a perch entree at a lot of restaurants in Toledo, but you don't see the perch place necessarily.
And you mentioned earlier that although you're very involved, obviously, in your own business, but you're also somehow kind of connected to your brother's business.
Well, I always did music, and, Rob was my first employee on the food truck, and he still works on the food truck. And I'm not as involved with Little Elephant, but we do play in a band together, 2 bands together as well, working with music together, and kind of, you could argue that some of the stuff that we did led in ways to Little Elephant.
So what did lead you to these businesses? I mean, was this something that you knew you wanted to do as a kid?
It's probably worth mentioning that we grew up in a house where our dad ran what I often refer to as his mad scientist lab in the basement. So he was like a solo entrepreneur when we were kids. He's different. He's an engineer. He's like an inventor, but very much always encouraged to be an entrepreneur. So he's helped both of us a lot, just with a lot of the scientific pieces of it. It was easier on us to do it, I think, because we had that encouragement.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of your dad helping you make the food truck, which I thought was pretty cool. But what was the hardest part, or what is the hardest part of starting in this food truck industry? Really, the hard part with starting the food truck is that it's kind of, as I and a lot of the other food truckers call around Toledo, it's the wild, wild west, because it's such a new business type. Yeah. How you do it is kind of in the eye of the beholder, and it encourages experimentation. And there's no book on how to start a food truck. And I looked for them too. There really isn't. And you think, well, maybe someone should go write it, but if I wanted to go write it now, I would be giving up a lot of my competitive intel. So it'll stay secret probably for a while. So that was the biggest challenge, is that, if you open a restaurant, for example, I imagine there's a lot of know-how out there already because so many have been opened. Was it daunting, transitioning from playing music with your brother to starting your own business? I never pursued it professionally as much. So we were playing in bands, but it wasn't my main gig. I went to law school as well, and I was on a different path for a while. But I wouldn't say I jumped ship to do the food truck from music, because I wasn't working with him or anything like that on that. But I jumped ship on a legal career and a
a career in market research as well, which is what I was doing for about 3 years before that. So, I always wanted to kind of run my own business, and I kind of saw the food truck as an opportunity to do that, and to also kind of participate in what I'm hoping is a revitalization of downtown, and to cook all day, every day. So that was the main idea. I mean, I love my food truck. I really do love doing it. I guess that, I assume that goes without saying, but it doesn't. It's awesome.
We're running out of time, and we still have so much more to talk about. So stay tuned. Next time, we'll talk to the younger brother, Rob, and hear about his business, Little Elephant. And we'll also hear more about this dedication these two brothers have to the city they grew up in, Toledo. For now, I'm Haley Taylor, and you've been listening to the Rough Draft Diaries.